Friend, I am Mr. Gurdhar Chaugle. Today we have to discuss the conventional source of energy. In the conventional source of energy, first we have to discuss the photovoltaic cell. Photovoltaic cell is the semiconductor device that converts the light into the electrical energy. The voltage induced by the photovoltaic cell depends upon the intensity of light incident on the photovoltaic cell. The name of the photovoltaic is because of their voltage producing capability of the cell. The electron of the semiconductor material are joined together by the covalent bond, and the electromagnetic radiations are made up of small energy particles are called as a photon. When the photons are incident on the semiconductor material, then the electron becomes energized and starts the emitting light. The energizing the electron is known as photoelectron, and the phenomenon of emission of electron is known as photoelectric effect in the photovoltaic cell. We have to discuss related to the construction of photovoltaic cell. The semiconductor material like as cadmium, silicon, selenium, gallium, arsenide, these are the different types of material are used for the photovoltaic cell manufacturing, but mostly silicon and selenium are used for making the photovoltaic cell. And we have to show the figure of the photovoltaic cell. The upper surface of the cell is made up of thin layer of p type of material so that light can easily enter into the material, and the metal rings are placed around the p type and n type material which act as their positive and negative output terminal respectively. Multicrystalline or monocrystalline semiconductor material make the single unit of the photovoltaic cell. The monocrystal cell is cut from the volume of the semiconductor material, and the multi-cell are obtained from the material which has many sides. The output voltage and current obtained from the single unit of the photovoltaic cell is very less. The magnitude of the output voltage is 0.6 volt and that of the current is 0.8 ampere. The different combinations of cells are used for increasing the output efficiency of the photovoltaic cells. There will be different possibilities to make or combine the photovoltaic cell. First combination is a series combination of photovoltaic cell. If more than two cells are connected in series with each other, then the output of the cell remains same and their input voltage becomes double. This is the series combination of photovoltaic cell. Combination is parallel combination of photovoltaic cell. In this parallel connection of the cell, voltage remains same and the magnitude of current becomes double. Because of that, we have to connect the photovoltaic cell in parallel. And third option is series parallel combination of photovoltaic cell. In the series parallel combination of cell, the magnitude of both the voltage and current increases, and therefore the solar panels are made by the series and parallel combinations of the cell. What is the working of the photovoltaic cell? When the light is incident on the semiconductor material, may be passed or reflected through it. The photovoltaic cell is made up of semiconductor material which is neither complete conductor or nor insulator. This property of the semiconductor material make it more efficient for converting the light energy into the electrical energy. When the semiconductor material absorbs the light, the electrons of the material starts emitting. This happens because the light consists of small energy particles like called as a photon. When the electrons absorbs the photon, they becomes energized and starts moving in the material. Because of this effect of electric field, particle moves only in the one direction and develops the current. Semiconductor material have the metallic electrode through which current goes out of it. Electrical energy is obtained from the photovoltaic cell. Then we have to discuss the second source of energy, that is fuel cell. Fuel cell is a device that generates the electricity by chemical reaction. Every fuel cell has two electrodes called as a anode and cathode. See in the image we have shown, that is anode and cathode. The reaction that produces the electricity takes place at the electrode. Every fuel cell also has an electrolyte which carries the electrical charged particles from one electrode to the other, and a catalyte which speeds the reaction at the electrode. Hydrogen is the basic fuel, but fuel cell also requires oxygen. One great appeal of the fuel cell is that they generate the electricity with very little pollution. Much of the hydrogen and oxygen used in the generating electricity. We have to discuss related to the working of the fuel cell. Most of all the fuel cells will be operate similar or some part of different. In the fuel cell, that is hydrogen atoms enters the fuel cell at anode, where chemical reaction strips them of their electrons, and the hydrogen atoms are now ionized and carry the positive electrical charges. The negatively charged electron provides the current through the wire to do work. If alternating current is needed, the DC output of the fuel cell must be routed through the conversion devices called as an inverter. Oxygen enters the fuel cell at cathode, and in some cell type, it is there combines the electron returning from the electrical circuit and hydrogen ions that have traveled through the electrolyte from the anode. In other cell type, the oxygen picks up the electron and then travel through the electrolyte to the anode, where it combines the hydrogen ions. Then the chemical reaction at the negative electrode, that is 2H2 minus gives the 4H plus 4E, 4 electrons gives, and the chemical reaction at the positive electrode is oxygen, that is O2 plus 4H plus 4 is equal to 2H2 will be the output. The electrolyte will be the plays very important role, and it must permits only appropriate ions to pass between the anode and cathode. If the free electrons or the other substances could travel through the electrolyte, they will disturb the chemical reaction. Because of that, electrolyte will be very important part. Then after the chemical reaction, oxygen and hydrogen will be the comes out from the cell, and the output is obtained from the electrodes, and it will be connected to the outside circuit with the help of wire. Then we have to discuss related to the wind turbine or wind power. With the help of wind turbine, we have to generate the electricity. The major parts of the wind turbines are: first one is the tower of the wind turbine. Tower is very critical part of the wind turbine, and that supports all the parts. It's not only the supports the turbine but also raises the turbine to the sufficient height so that its blade tip would be at safe height during the rotation. Not only that, we have to maintain the height of the tower so that it can get sufficient strong wind for the generation of electricity. The height of the tower ultimately depends on the power capacity of the wind turbine, and the tower of the turbines is commercial wind power plant is usually in the range of 40 meter to the 100 meter. These towers may be either tubular steel tower, lattice tower or concrete towers we have to use. We use the tubular steel tower for the large wind turbine. These are normally manufactured in the sections of 30 to 40 meter in length, and each section has flanges with holes, and such sections are fitted together with the help of nut bolt at the side to form the complete tower. The complete tower is slightly conical shape to provide the better mechanical stability, and lattice tower by different members of steel and GI angles or tubes are provided. All members are bolted or welded together to form a complete tower of desired height. The cost of this height are much less than the steel tubular towers. Because of that, lattice towers are sometimes used. Where or some applications, hybrid type of towers are used. Hybrid type tower is also guide type tower, but the only difference is that instead of using single pole in the middle, it uses thin and tall lattice tower. Hybrid tower is a hybrid of both the lattice type and guide type towers. Second part of the turbine is rotor blades. Blades are main mechanical part of the wind turbine. The blade converts the wind energy into the mechanical energy. When the wind strikes the blades rotate. This rotation transfers its mechanical energy to the. When the blade starts rotating, the rotation transfers its mechanical energy to the shaft. We design the blade like as aeroplane wings. The wind turbine blades can be 40 meter to the 90 meter long. Blades should be mechanically strong, so enough to withstand the wind pressure and storm during that period. At the same time, wind turbine blades should be made as light as possible to facilitate smooth rotation of the blade. This is the rotor blades of the wind turbine. Next one is the gearbox. Wind turbine does not rotate at high speed rather than it's rotate gently at low speed. But most of the electrical generator requires the high speed rotation to generate electricity at desired voltage level. So there must be some speed multiplication arrangement to achieve the high speed of the generator shaft. So the gearbox of the wind turbine to do this, gearbox increases the speed to much higher values. If the gear ratio is 1:80, if the RPM of a low speed main shaft is 15, then the gearbox will increase the speed of the generator shaft to 15 into 80, that is 12,000 RPM. Sorry, it will be a 1200 RPM. Next part is generator. Generator is an electrical device that converts the mechanical energy received from the shaft into the electrical energy. We use induction generator in modern wind turbines. Previously, we have to use the synchronous generator for that purpose. A permanent magnet DC generator also used in some wind turbines. The speed of the shaft can be made high by using gearbox assembly, but we cannot make shaft speed constant because it will be depends on the wind speed. If the wind speed will be vary, then the speed of the rotation it will be vary. According to that, generation will be depends. Next one is the power converter. Is an electrical device that stabilizes the alternating output voltage transferred to the grid. Then turbine controller is a computer based or PLC based that controls the entire turbine. It starts and stops the turbine and runs self diagnostic in case of any error in the turbine. One is the anemometer. It measures the wind speed and passes the speed information to the PLC to control the turbine power. Then wind vanes. It sends the direction of the wind and passes the direction to the PLC. Then PLC faces the blade in such a way that it cuts the maximum wind. Part of the wind turbine is yaw drive. The blade or other component in the wind turbine are held in a nacelle. Whenever any change in the wind direction is there, the nacelle has to face the direction of the wind to extract the maximum energy from the wind. For this purpose, yaw drive is very important. A motor is used to rotate the nacelle and it is controlled by the PLC that uses the wind vanes information to sense the wind direction. Then we have to discuss what are the different types of power. We have to show here power triangle. There will be three types of powers are present, that is active power, reactive power and apparent power. First one is the active power. It is the power which is actually dissipated in the circuit, or it will be very useful for the operation of the circuit. Without actual power, the equipments or apparatus does not works, and the actual power it will be given by VI cos phi, and the unit of active power is watt. And the second one is the reactive power. It is the power developed in the inductance reactance of the circuit, and it is indicated by Q, and the reactive power Q is given by VI sin phi, and the unit of the reactive power is volt ampere reactive or kilovolt ampere reactive. Then the last one is the apparent power. It is denoted by S, and it is the combination of the active and reactive power, or the apparent power is the product of RMS value of the applied voltage and the current present in the circuit. That is S is equal to V into I, and unit is volt ampere or kilovolt ampere. Then the next concept is related to the power factor. Power factor, it is the cosine of angle between the voltage and current in AC circuit is called as a power factor, that is cos phi, or the power factor is also defined as it is the ratio of resistance to the impedance, or it will be defined as the ratio of active power to the apparent power. Here we have to show the power triangle. See, in the power triangle, OA is VI cos phi, that is active power. Then AB is the reactive power, VI sin phi, and resultant OB is the apparent power. With the help of Pythagoras theorem, that is OB square is equal to OA square plus AB square, that is apparent power square is equal to active power square plus reactive power square, that is kilovolt. That is power factor, that is cos phi, it will be given by the OA divided by OB, that is active power divided by apparent power. Then power factor is cos phi. It will be also a ratio we have already known, that is a resistance to the impedance, as well as we have to define the power factor, that is active power to the apparent power. From the power triangle we also calculate the power factor. Then we have to discuss related to the disadvantages of poor power factor. When the power factor of the system is lower, then it requires the large kVA rating of the equipment, and the conductor size will be goes on increasing because of the poor power factor. If the conductor size will be increasing, then the total cost of the system it will be goes on increasing. Then because of the poor power factor, there will be losses in the system, it will be goes on increasing. If the losses of the system it will be goes on increasing, then bill will be goes on increasing, because see, in the household application power factor is low, or any industrial application power factor is low, then the losses it will be goes on increasing. Because of that, penalty will be taken by the MSAB from the industrial persons if the power factor is low. Because of that, power factor must be good, and we have to maintain nearer to the unity. And the power factor value is start from 0 and it will be maximum up to 1. That is, unity power factor is the ideal power factor of the system. If the power factor is low, then there will be a poor voltage regulation of the system will be done. So in order to maintain the power factor at good condition, there will be several methods are available to improve the power factor of the system. First method is by using a static capacitor, means we have to connect the capacitor at the motor terminal. Because of that, power factor we have to maintain properly. And the second one is the phase advancer is also used for the improving the power factor. And synchronous condenser is also one of the equipment to increase the power factor of the system, and these equipments are connected parallel to the circuit in order to increase the power factor of the system. So these are the different points we have to see. In this video we have to see in the conventional sources of energy, what are the different types of powers, and what is the power factor, what is the effect of low power factor, and what are the equipments are used for improving the power factor of the system. Thank you friends.